Welcome back to another We Ourselves video. And today I want to talk about the movie Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, or Beetlejuice 2. And I want to discuss it, what I thought of the movie, whether I liked it or not. And as much as possible, I will not spoil the plot of the movie, so this will be spoiler free. So with all of that out of the way, let's talk about Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice 2, as I'm going to call it, brings back most of the stars from the first movies. You have Winona Ryder back as Lydia Dietz. You have Michael Keaton, of course, back as Beetlejuice, and he does a good job. You could tell he's really enjoying revisiting that character. You have Catherine O'Hara as Delia Dietz. She's back. And you have the addition of Jenna Ortega playing Lydia's daughter, Astrid Dietz. So all of that is good. And of course, you bring back Tim Burton as the director, so this movie has the style and the look of the original movie, so all of that works really well. And you have one of my favorite composers, Danny Elfman, back doing his crazy, insane music. Again, it feels like a direct continuation because they've taken these characters and they've allowed for and they've accounted for the number of years that have passed. You see that Delia, she's still into her artwork, but she's brought in more modern technology and into her displays and stuff like that. So she's moved into the technology age. So that's really nice to see with her character. And then you have Lydia Dietz. You see what she's doing with her talent. And again, it makes sense in this day and age of multimedia, of online influencers, of people doing their shows and their podcasts. So you really get to see how she's using her abilities to help people, even though there's an element of her taking drugs at times to keep her power dialed down a little bit so she won't see too many things. But still, it's interesting to see what she's doing and how they've moved her forward. And like I said, Michael Keaton's back as Beetlejuice, and every scene with him is a joy to watch because it's nice seeing him back into this familiar character, and he really knows how to play Beetlejuice and make him eccentric. Other things that I liked about this: Jenna Ortega is a good addition. She fits this franchise. Even if she had come in as Wednesday, she would have fit the franchise. But playing Astrid, she was a good addition. I liked her character. And the other thing that I liked about her is they did not make her that obnoxious, unlikable, snarky daughter. Yes, she has problems with Winona Ryder's Lydia Dietz, but there's a legit reason for them having this strained relationship. There's a reason for it, and through the course of the movie, they work that out. But she is likable as a character, not like how they played her with Wednesday, where she was just absolutely god-awful towards her mom, or like the girl in the last Ghostbuster movie who was god-awful to her mom, which makes it almost impossible to like these characters as characters. But here, hats off to the writers because she is a likable character. Oh, by the way, you have the addition of Willem Dafoe, who plays Wolf Jackson. He was a former TV star and he died, I won't tell you how, on set. And so he's still in that persona. And then you have the villain, which they show in the trailer, which is played by Monica Bellucci, and that's Dolores. To me, she was a really good setup and she was a really good villain because even when it comes to dead individuals or dead souls, she is still a danger to all of them. And I liked how they set her up. The payoff, that's another matter. And you have, I don't think it's a spoiler, but you have somewhat of an extended cameo by Danny DeVito in the movie also. But one of the last things that I want to say about things that I liked what they did with Winona Ryder's character. I liked what they did with Lydia because they were showing her use her powers, and I found it interesting, particularly when you have Beetlejuice doing things to try to get her attention. It's like, I like this. This is interesting. I hope they go there. Unfortunately, once the father dies, and you see the funeral in the trailer, so I'm not spoiling anything, once that happens and they are all there at the funeral, that's almost where the story picks up and stays, and you never get back to her life of what she's doing. Yes, it's mentioned. Yes, it's part of her back and forth with her daughter, but to me, they left that on the side. And that brings me to the things that I did not like about this movie. The biggest problem I had with this movie was the story. I'm watching it and I'm trying to decide who's the main character. It really should be Lydia Dietz, but they give almost equal screen time to Jenna Ortega. And part of the problem with this, you also have Michael Keaton, who's Beetlejuice. He's a main character, but he's not the main villain this time. It's supposed to be the Monica Bellucci character, Dolores. And that's my problem. Even Jenna Ortega has her own antagonist in this movie, and none of their stories really overlap. When Beetlejuice is messing with Lydia at the beginning, he's just doing it because he wants to get back into her life. It has nothing to do with the villain coming after him. Willem Dafoe's character, Wolf, is investigating what the villain is doing, and it's totally separate from anything else. So there's this whole separate storyline going on between Beetlejuice and Wolf and Dolores that has nothing to do with Lydia. When Lydia actually comes to him because she's trying to do something to help her daughter. And it's like you have separate antagonists for each one of these characters, and the main villain is not a villain for the other characters. At least in Ghostbuster, that villain, that demon, the snow demon or whatever it was, he threatened everybody. Dolores, the way she's set up, could threaten everybody, but she really doesn't because she is zeroed in on Beetlejuice. So it's like you have all these storylines, and I'm watching this movie, and it's like it's not really Lydia's story, and it's not Astrid's story, and it's not Beetlejuice's story, even though it has his name on the movie. It's like this is a mini series, and each one of them has a dedicated episode to themselves, which may work in a limited series, but in a movie, there should be one through line in which everything hangs, and I think it should have been Lydia Dietz's story. And so for me, that's why I said this is disjointed. Too many of the set pieces felt like set pieces. They really didn't feel like it was a coordinated whole. In the first movie, Beetlejuice was the menace. They had to deal with him, and they had to find a loophole for the couple that was trapped in the house so that they could move on to their final destination and not sit there and try to haunt people who buy the house because they were really bad at doing what they were doing. And Beetlejuice was the boogeyman. They had to take care of him. And so that was a straightforward story. Here you do not have that. You do not have some overall villain that everybody has to take care of. Dolores is just after Beetlejuice. She doesn't care about the other people. And Jenna Ortega's antagonist isn't connected to Dolores in any kind of way. He's doing his own thing. And so Lydia's trying to help her. And so that kind of trips her over into Beetlejuice's story. But none of this is satisfying. None of this is really connected. It's really a mess, at the end of the day. And it's sad considering that you have all of these talented people, all the people who were there for the first time, and you would think that they could do a little better job. Yeah, I think the theme of this movie is you should not focus on death in the past. You should focus in on life and moving forward into the future. And that's kind of sort of the theme, and you see that. But without a centralized story and a centralized character to focus on, you really get lost in the weeds. And to me, that's what it felt like. A lot of the things felt like set pieces, and we were moving from one to the other so that there wasn't that same magic that the first one had. And also, some of the choices were self-indulgent, and some of them were too on the nose. For instance, there is a train, and I think you see it in the trailer, so I'm not giving away plot. There is a train that takes people's souls to their final destination. So in essence, it's a soul train. I'll leave it up to you to decide exactly what the director did to dramatize that. And I'm sitting here saying, but this really doesn't fit. Yes, I know you had the song, the Day-O song from the first movie, and then you wanted to do it again in this movie, even though did it really make sense doing it at the funeral? That's neither here nor there. But apart from that, this is a story about Caucasian people, okay? And you're going to take an iconic African-American idea, show, and drop it into the middle. It just felt so out of place. And the reason that the other song worked in the first movie, because that came from Beetlejuice. He was insane and wacky, and he was making them go through the most unlikely of things to scare them. This time around, just dropping that cultural reference, it's like it doesn't work, and it's not done because Beetlejuice did it. It's just a set piece, and that's what it felt like. As interesting as it was, it didn't ultimately go anywhere for me. And so at the end of the day, I found myself disappointed. I didn't hear a lot of excitement from the audience as we walked out of the theater either. If I had to judge it like on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being the best, I would have to give it a 2.5, maybe a 3 at the best. It's good to see all these characters back. Michael Keaton is good as Beetlejuice, but I really feel like there wasn't that same magic with Beetlejuice because the story wasn't there for him. He was not the main antagonist here. And I think because of that, even Beetlejuice felt a little lost in the mix. So even at the top of the Hollywood game with these super experienced people, we still are getting these subpar stories. So anyway, that's my review of Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. Let me know what you think. Do you plan on seeing it? Are you interested? Are you not interested? Do you just think it's another grab at money and nostalgia on the part of Hollywood? Believe me, if you said that, I would not argue with you on that point. But those are my thoughts on Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. Let me know what you think in the comments. And as always, like, subscribe, and share, and I will see you in the next video.